Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly webinar. This is Patrick, and Jimmy is going to be presenting a demo in a moment, but I wanted to give a few, basically prepare the demo that Jimmy has spent a lot of time on with a couple slides. Jimmy, can you hear me okay? Is the audio coming through? Do you want to say a few words? Do you want to say hello to everyone?
Yeah, your audio sounds good, and hello everyone. I hope you enjoy our presentation today.
Great. So we do these webinars every week. It's about 20 minutes. We're going to have time for questions at the end. We are recording. We'll put it on YouTube. If you have any questions whatsoever, doesn't have to be about our slides today or about their presentation, the demo. Feel free to put those in there. We'll answer those at the end. First of all, InfoPath's been with us now for like over 12 years, right? Think about it. 2003 was the initial launch. There are millions and millions of InfoPath templates in existence in the US alone. One of our big customers that created the software, they actually have thousands of templates that they use in their processes internal to Microsoft. So InfoPath today, just to refresh ourselves, it's a client for creating forms. It's based on web standards. It allows you to create documents, which means you can do workflow. It allows you to connect to web services, to consume data, and also to submit data without code. You can make your forms look great because it's HTML table-based layout. You've got smart logic to make your forms do lots of cool things, rules, formatting, lots of stuff there. Things work in the browser, regardless of which browser you're using. And you have the offline ability, and much more. But that's what InfoPath is today. We have a few scenarios that are not so great. So we've been always complaining about the fact that the filler is not free, like Adobe Reader. You need a SharePoint license if you're going to use it in the browser, and that includes a client access license, which means your external users can't necessarily use it easily. There are some key features missing. We've been trying to get Microsoft to add these for a long time, but a couple of the key features are ability to pass a parameter from one form to another, the ability to submit to SharePoint lists, get that repeating data out of your forms. In addition, performance, it's gotten better over the years. 2013, much better than 2010 in terms of browser performance, and 2010 was a huge improvement from 2007. But things are still slow. Sandbox support is, it's there, and it's good, but there are some people that experience sandbox load issues in 365. We don't, but we do see our customers seeing slow load times. It's hard to design the data sources. This is the biggest pitfall in InfoPath today, and it's hard for people to migrate those data sources once you move from one server to another or upgrade from 2013 to 2016, or I guess 2010 to 2013. There are some strange features that don't make a lot of sense, that throw people off, and printing, of course, doesn't give you automatic pagination. So that's kind of the fail whale, so to speak, of InfoPath today. We're paving this new road for you. We have this new app that we've been working on for over a year, actually about a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and it's called FormsViewer. This app essentially takes an InfoPath form template and data and allows you to display it, edit it, and submit it without having to rely on InfoPath. So you still got your InfoPath form templates, so it provides this wonderful, easy way to take the data that you have today and continue using it. So we've been out now for about a year. We launched 1.0 about July of 2014. Like I said, FormsViewer understands the InfoPath format, so it actually takes up an InfoPath form and renders it, allows you to edit it, submit it. We support the majority of features. We don't support those weird features I just mentioned. There are a few features that we're missing, and obviously things like submit SharePoint list. So we've added those and many more, including support for JSON web services, anonymous submit, and you don't need to worry about your SharePoint licenses. So why migrate? So first of all, before we answer that question, I've got this quick poll for you all. And maybe you're not thinking about migrating. Maybe you are. Let's do the quick poll, and I'll tell everyone what the results are in a second here. And it looks like we've got 23% of you, 45% of you, 55% of you. So we'll wait until it's about 80%. So a few more votes, please. Okay, we're at 70, 73. And let's see, a couple more votes, 77. Okay, so right now, as it stands, 24% of you are saying no plan since Microsoft supports until 2025. 29% of you are saying in the next few years. 6% after that, and 29% haven't thought about it, and 12% are waiting to hear what we have to say. Thank you for that. So what do we have to say? Well, we think you should consider migrating in the next 2 to 3 years. I think that's a good game plan. Right now, InfoPath support is strong. We have seen a few issues, a few bugs have cropped up. Nothing dire. We have seen a designer bug with the dialog that came up about 2 months ago. We saw an issue with HTML tables, but it only happens once in 10 times, and you can quickly reopen it. It works just fine. So we have seen a couple designer issues. Nothing in the browser, nothing in the filler. Microsoft, though, did announce that they were deprecating InfoPath in 2014, and they suggested another technology that would take the place of it, which was Forms on SharePoint Lists, which was canceled in January of 2015. So there's no current migration strategy out there, and so that's why we've kind of, while we're doing this, we did a whole series on After InfoPath last year. We spent, I think it was 12 or 13 webinars talking about different technologies, and we continued throughout the year talking about different technologies. And one of those, of course, is this new great idea which we're trying to help people adopt, and that is FormsViewer. It's open source. We've developed it. It's low cost. You can use the forms as is. You can install the app. It works. You don't have to change your library. You don't have to change the form template. You don't have to change your forms. So it's very low cost in terms of migration. We think it's going to be better performance right now. You'll see that we have commands in it. Jimmy's going to demo this in a second. We have good load time right now. Jimmy's going to be demoing it from Japan, where he's working today, but the actual server is in Seattle. And we've seen some performance increase or some performance improvement over the Q rules based, sandbox based InfoPath running in the browser in 365, and we expect the performance to get better as we continue to work on it. We made a number of improvements lately. In addition, the publishing step is no longer required. You don't have to actually go through this lengthy process of publishing your InfoPath form. You can just drag and drop it up there. And then we got these new features. We'll show you a few of these. So without any further ado, I'm going to switch the presentation over to Jimmy, and if I can do this correctly here. Jimmy?
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, now over to me now. All right, yeah, Patrick just gave us all a good rundown of FormsViewer. I believe we started work on this project about 2 years ago, and we've been really ramping up our efforts recently to get all the features polished off and make it ready for everybody to use and support as many InfoPath features as we can. So what we have here on my screen right now is the form that I'm going to be demoing today. We can see that this is open in InfoPath Designer, and it's just got a bunch of sections. You can see that it's an expense report. We've got some conditional hiding and things like that, so that people can come through and fill out the form. Now, you might, for those of you who haven't seen our presentations before, you might be wondering, how does we get this form into FormsViewer? And this is actually a new feature that we haven't demoed in a webinar before. We've got the FormsViewer app itself provides storage for templates. So you upload the template into the app. It sort of pulls the template apart and analyzes it, and then it stores it for you. You can see the list here. And then there are links available to open up the forms, and you can just put those links anywhere you want so people can open them up. So as Patrick mentioned, one of the nifty features of FormsViewer is that you can allow access to anonymous users to open and submit your forms. So here I'm in Chrome. You can see I'm in incognito mode, and I'm doing that so that I don't have any cached credentials. I'm not authenticated with any SharePoint site, so I'm completely accessing this anonymously. And what we can see here is that it has nicely rendered the form that I was showing you in InfoPath Designer. I can come through here and select the dates. We'll make this expense report about travel to Seattle, since I'll be doing that in a couple months. Jimmy Risch, I'll put in my email address. Okay. All right, so here's the basic info, and then I'll tab over here to the expense portion of the form. We've got a repeating table here. If you're familiar with the samples that came with InfoPath 2007, this is similar to that in that we've got a repeating table and then a summary section at the bottom with the totals. So let's put in airfare, and well, that'll be about $800, and I'll put in here cafe at the airport. That would be meals, about $8. We can see there's a detail section down here. Could put in Tully's. We've got a nice calculation going on with the sales tax. We've got Washington sales tax included there. And these arrows allow me to toggle between the different items. You can switch. You can see it switching here. All right. So now I've filled all that out. I can hit submit, and that's this is submitting the form off to SharePoint, to the SharePoint library. Okay, and now it's submitted. The form has closed. Now I'm switching over to Internet Explorer, where I am logged into SharePoint, and I'll open up this library that the form is submitting to, and we can see this form here that was just submitted a few seconds ago. Yeah, so let's say I submitted that as an employee. Now I'm a different user. I want to open up the form and do approval on it. So what we can do here is I've checked the row, and there's an icon here up in the ribbon, open it in FormsViewer. We do have a way to configure the library so that the actual links open up the forms in FormsViewer, but we've left it this way, which also allows us to open them in the InfoPath browser form renderer if we need to. So I'll click this FormsViewer icon to open it up. All right, and here we see the form opening up here. We've got all the values I entered in. We can see the reviewer name here. Now, for those of you who've been using InfoPath for a while, it provides a lot of custom functions that are the expression language used inside InfoPath is called XPath, and InfoPath extends that, providing some special functions like the username function that tells you the user currently using the form. In 365, usernames have this sort of funky format. You would typically reformat this to just show the email portion of it. You can strip off this membership stuff here, but just to show you that it's getting the actual username from SharePoint. Here we have the whole thing. So I can click either approved or denied to act on this item. I'll go ahead and approve it. So this too is going to resubmit the form to that library. So I'll come back here to the expenses library, and we can see yet again that it has been modified a few seconds ago, and previously it was modified by a SharePoint app because it was running anonymously. Now it has been modified by me, and it recognizes that. Now, Patrick mentioned that we are including features in FormsViewer that are not built into InfoPath. The biggest component of that is QRules. So basically, QRules, for you, those of you not familiar with it, allows you to extend your forms, do a whole bunch of stuff that's not available out of the box. So what we've got here is we've got QRules command to submit to a SharePoint list. You can configure the form to submit to a list by using QRules. And we've actually added this functionality into FormsViewer. So we can come over here to expenses, and we can see the item that I just submitted. It's got the details from the form. I've submitted a couple today, so we've got all of those. And if I go over to details, we can see that I have submitted repeating data from the form into this list. The airfare, cafe at the airport, and here we've got a lookup column that links to the parent items in the expenses list. So pretty much exactly what you would get by using QRules in one of your forms. You get that automatically in FormsViewer. Okay, so we'll just open up this form one more time, see what it looks like with the workflow completed. All right, and we can see here that the status is approved. So as you can see, we're nicely rounding out the feature set in FormsViewer, and we hope that it provides you a nice alternative to using the SharePoint browser forms or the InfoPath filler in the near future.
Well, thank you, Jimmy, for that excellent demo. Really great to see this progress. And we've made a lot of progress over the year. Jimmy's team his team is actually responsible for all of the work that has gone into FormsViewer to date on the development side. We do have more features to add, but we have several customers already using FormsViewer in live production scenarios. So if you're interested, you'll get an app as part of this package for the webinar. You fill out the quick survey at the end. We got a few questions for you, and then we'll send you that, and we'll help you install it. We are expecting to continue to improve it. Once again, the main value proposition is that it's really low cost to migrate your forms. You've got more features, including anonymous submit, but also the QRules top 20 commands. And you've got us, to help you, and our support. We strive to do a really great job on support, and I hope some of you already know that. So any questions? I guess we've got 3 questions so far, and if you've got questions now on what we presented or anything else under the sun, please let us know. Quick question then let's just go down the list of questions already asked here. Catherine, thank you for being the first one, Catherine. Your question is regarding user profile services and whether you can get the user's manager information from the cloud with Active Directory. So we have several customers that actually configure 365 to work with their Active Directory running on a separate, basically on their own servers. They basically bridge the the domain, I guess, or they bridge the cloud service so they can actually pull that data. So one way to do it is to do that and then have your forms query that web service running on your other, internal servers. And you can do that, and that works. We have customers using that, and we have an Active Directory web service that you can call. Out of the box, the cloud, because it's a tenant-based system, it does provide user profile information, but it's much less than what you get with the SharePoint on-premises. You get 4 or 5 different fields. You get the email, you get the user's name, but you don't get their manager's information. And so to get that, you do have to bridge it with your Active Directory running on a separate server. And it's easy to do this. Microsoft has documents describing how to do it. So that's how you would do it. The other obvious simple solution is if you have a small team, you could simply create a SharePoint list and just look up on load. And that also works for scenarios where you have a small number of people. And then, of course, if you've got SharePoint on-prem, you can use get user profile service in the browser to get that information. We have a curls command that allows you to get user profile information in the cloud. That's 365. That was demoed over 2 years ago. But like I said, the manager information isn't part of that because it's not synchronized with your Active Directory unless you set up the bridging. It's a great question from Catherine. Andy's got the second question here. Andy's question, any indication from Microsoft or any indication that Microsoft will backpedal on their position of end-of-life support for InfoPath? We think Microsoft's pretty solid. We've seen a number of issues, bugs crop up just because of normal updates that they have fixed. For example, with 365, it used to be the case you opened an XML document, you'd get it opening in the Internet Explorer as XML text. It wouldn't actually launch the InfoPath client. That was fixed a couple weeks ago. So Microsoft continues to fix InfoPath bugs. They've also introduced a few new ones, which thankfully are not blocking. One of the issues, I think I already mentioned these. But no, I think they're pretty solid. Microsoft's always been very good about the support in terms of the bug fixing. Not so much in terms of the call-in support, because there's just too many people out there. They rely on their partners to do most of that support. They do have an improved support on 365. I was not a believer of 365 support for the first few years, but recently had a chance to contact Microsoft support with a customer, and the experience was pretty good. So they're getting better at that, and I think they're pretty solid. I don't think that they're going to backpedal. Next question from Kathy. So what if we have a Qrules license for the next couple of years? Yeah, so like I said, I mean, we think people should start looking at migrations in the future, but there's no rush, and your Qrules license will continue to work just fine in the browser for many years because Microsoft's supporting it. And those forms that you developed obviously will work in FormsViewer because we're going to be supporting all of those Qrules commands, or the majority of them that people are using. So we've got your back. And does this only work in 365? Second question from you. No, it also works in SharePoint 2013 on-prem. We have a couple customers that have done that, installed that, and we do expect that to be a key scenario, obviously 2016 when it comes out. And we will be adopting it to a non-SharePoint environment in the future. So we have our own formsboard.com website where you can go to share your forms with your colleagues, and we expect to put that technology there, which will be even lower cost for you. Hopefully that answers your questions. Rick's got the next question. How did that workflow work? You just opened the item from the list and got the approval form. So I think, Jimmy, I'll pass that to you.
Yeah, so this was just a simple demo form. It's not a fully fleshed out workflow, but basically everything is operating within just a single form. So, and we do this in InfoPath a lot. Basically, they open up, someone besides the original submitter opens up the form. It verifies that they're not the original submitter. Maybe it checks the list to make sure that they are the manager for the person who submitted it or whatever. And using conditional hiding or separate views, we provide the interface so that the manager can approve it. So that's all happening inside a single XSN. It's just different views on the data depending on the state of the data.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let's see. So another question from Kathy: is it easy to convert from InfoPath Forms to Qdabra to FormsViewer? Yeah, it's just like I said. You don't have to do anything. You just install the app, point it at your form template. Once again, we're not suggesting that forms people, that people move from my InfoPath today. This is part of our ongoing story to help people make sense of the future, and most importantly, to future-proof your forms. If your IT managers or your business decision makers are worried about the future viability of your forms, you have an answer, and that's FormsViewer, because we can support the forms as they are today. We're also extending them, making them better, and really we're trying to pave the way to what we think should be InfoPath V2 or VNext, and that's what we hope FormsViewer becomes. And we're happy to hear any of your feedback on this. We're going to continue working on it and showing you new features. The webinar next week will include some of those new features. We're going to go into more detail and show some of the other new features that we have and some of the Qrules features that we've used to extend it. And then we are shipping Qrules 7.2 this month, and that includes support for JSON and some other things. So you can connect to your web providers, like web services, like, for example, if you use some of these, what's the name of that program, Jimmy? The Zendesk. So if you use Zendesk for your support, or if you use some of these web providers, these apps on the web that only support JSON, you can now use your InfoPath forms to submit to JSON. That does require full trust, but it is a pretty cool feature, and we've included that in Qrules. Jimmy, any comments on that since you did the feature?
Yeah, I think it's a very nifty feature, and it's we've had people in the past who wanted to generate JSON in their forms, and at the time we did it in a sort of ad hoc way. And now Qrules provides full support for it. And aside from using JSON web services, you can even do things like generate attachments that contain JSON and things like that. So it's a really neat feature.
And then at the end of the month, beginning of next month, we're going to be launching DBXL V3 finally. We have a whole bunch of new features, including PDF generation, the ability to notify customers, notify your employees with the PDF form, the ability to save the PDFs and XMLs to separate folders. So those of you who know what DBXL is, it's our flagship web service for connecting InfoPath to SQL. And we've extended it over the years, and we've got a lot of new features that we're shipping, and we're really happy about that. We'll talk about that on October 1st. And then finally, we'll get back to those forums we talked about. These are ideas, of course. We're trying to do these webinars. Sometimes we don't quite get our demos done. We appreciate your patience. And always, it's a pleasure to have you here. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for being here.